Several years ago, we visited the lovely yard and fairy gardens built at Rita Kaiser's home in Herman, Minnesota. She told me about her friend Nancy Larson, who also has an awesome yard right outside of town. My garden club visited both yards, and I agreed with Rita. I called Nancy and asked if we could come so that our Prairie Yard and Garden viewers could see and enjoy her beautifully landscaped yard, and she said yes. Thanks so much, Nancy, for letting us come.
Oh, you are very welcome, Mary.
How did you get started gardening?
I got started in gardening when I was in college. I started out taking horticulture classes just on a whim and decided I really liked it, and from there it went to this. I have a degree in horticulture from NDSU, and I know you've had a show on Neil Holland before, and he was one of my favorite instructors. We sat many days talking about plants.
Did you work in the horticulture field after school too?
I did not work per se in horticulture. I did work at several nurseries, not really much more than that. We moved to this location. We built the house in 96, 97, and the gardens all started about 2000.
What was it like when you came here?
When we moved out here, we would be standing right now in the middle of a bean field. I started with the wall in 2000, and we started on the west end, and we kind of from there worked our way to the east. This wall was rock by rock, piece by piece, layer by layer. It's held together by mortar that we mixed ourselves. And of course, you read some books and you kind of figured out kind of how to do it. And the further this way we got, the better we got. And my kids decided if they seen another rock, it would be none too soon. And little did they know there were going to be a lot more rocks in their future. We went and hand-picked them out of the fields. We have a lot of friends who are farmers, and when I asked, can I check your rock pile, they said, have all you want. So we did. We picked a lot.
So then, what made you decide to build the plants and put the plants in front of the wall?
Oh, I always had that in vision when I started it, that it would be a nice backdrop for perennials and stuff. And that's what I've put in, is a lot of perennials. Anything I don't have to go back and redo every year. And this is not my only wall. I have, in my other water feature in the back in a flower bed, I have another set of walls. And that set of walls were built by my middle son, who is in masonry. His class had to do it as a project, and every 3 students had to do a brick wall. And once they were done and they were graded on it, he called and asked, Mom, do you want these? Because all we're going to do is take a sledgehammer after them and throw them in the rubbish pile. So I said, by all means, I will take them. So I had a gentleman that went over with a semi-trailer, and we went over and picked them up and brought them home, and I incorporated them into my flower bed. We dug it out, and we actually laid 1.5 feet of river rock or pea rock underneath that they would sit on. Some of them, there's 2 of them that have settled some, but for the most part that has been really good, and they have held up very well there.
So how did you pick the plants that you use both at this wall and at the other wall?
The mixed perennial beds like this one, when I find something I like, I put it in, and if it doesn't work there, I move it. I move a lot of plants in my yard back and forth. If they don't work in one spot or don't do well, they get moved to another flower bed, and we try it there. Because I have found with gardening is trial and error. It may not work in one spot, but it may work in another, and that's kind of how I've picked the plants. If I find a plant I like, I buy it and then find some place to put it, much to my husband's dismay. But because I buy a lot of plants in the spring, I enjoy my plants.
I really like the edging. Tell me about this.
This is curbing that we put in to help, well, for my husband to define my garden so it didn't get any bigger. But otherwise, it helps define and helps to keep the grass out and stuff. And I do try and mulch my beds to help with the moisture retention and also with the weeds, because most of my flower beds, once they've been mulched, I usually do not water them very much. It has to be an extremely dry summer like last summer for me to actually start pulling hoses out and watering the beds that have been mulched. And it's a way to hold the mulch back and the grass the other side, and that's why I use the edging.
So then how do you come up with the artwork that's displayed here in your beds?
That's another, like my plants, if I find it and it's not too expensive, I will buy it and I will find a place for it. Some of the pieces, like the boy and the girl sitting on the wall, those came from Arizona. They were my mother's and she did not have a spot for them. So she told me to take them, so we did, and there's other pieces. I've got a little girl with a watering can. She came from Arizona as well. And in one of the hosta beds, I have a little boy with a bird on his knee, and he came from Arizona. They cannot sit out during the winter because the cement pieces that they used on there are not made of the same cement we have up here. They will disintegrate over a couple of winters up here because of the freezing. So they get put in, and every spring they get sprayed down with a cement sealer.